you might be skipping a few steps, because this is a thing that naturally happens when you've done a task for a while, is that you will skip a few things that, again, it's just a shortcut to you, but you have to actually explain it to someone. Hey there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, my goal is that at this video is to walk you through the process of how to train your virtual assistant when it comes to delegating them a new task or a task that you've been doing. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lacaba. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own virtual assistant company here in the Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. And when it comes to training your virtual assistant in tasks, whether it's something that you've been doing yourself and you want to delegate to them, or it's something you've been actually wanting to do in your business, you just didn't have the time, hence why you have a virtual assistant, it might get a little bit tricky. There might be a few things that because you have been doing it so fast for a while that you might skip, or because it's such a new task, you don't have the whole scope. So I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process of what I teach our clients in 2XU on how they can delegate and train their virtual assistants when it comes to tasks. The first thing that you need to make sure that is clear to your assistant is why this needs to get done. It's important to give them the context of what this task is and how it affects your business. The reason why is it gives them the bigger picture of how this little task that they may be doing is actually affecting everything else in your business. This will also motivate them to find different ways to do it if they can, and if there's better shortcuts or better ways to have the task be done with better quality or faster, depending on what that task is. It's also just important in general to give someone context of why they're doing what they're doing, so they know how other tasks that they're doing will help support that. Next is then teaching them step by step how you do it. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually do this. One is just setting up a Zoom call with them where you actually walk them through how to do that task, where you share your screen, they record it on their end, you can record it as well on your end. This can be something that you guys can even upload privately into YouTube, so you guys have a copy of it. But it's important that you actually walk them through, because again, if you just write it down, if you verbally just walk through it, you might be skipping a few steps, because this is a thing that naturally happens when you've done a task for a while, is that you will skip a few things that, again, it's just a shortcut to you, but you have to actually explain it to someone, like, oh, this is why I'm skipping this step, or oh yeah, I set this up before, that's why we can skip this step. So again, it's giving them context so they know what to do moving forward, and it's going to be easier for them to train someone else on it later on. Next step that you can do to fully train them is actually have them turn it into a standard operating procedure. Now, I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel on standard operating procedures, and even one specifically on how to create them and how we create them inside of 2XU, but you want to have them create the documentation of that video. So from the video that you just taught them over Zoom, or it could even be a screen record video that you do over Vidyard. If you guys are in two different time zones and you can't meet, again, it can just literally be just a screen grab video of you doing the things step by step and talking through it. Then they can go ahead and turn that into a document. So one of the fastest ways that I usually explain what a standard operating procedure is think about it as a recipe. It's one of the ways that you can create repeatable results in your business by walking people through, okay, what is the outcome? What are the steps to actually do it? What are different shortcuts or different hacks that someone can do if, troubleshooting, if there's anything that goes wrong, and at the very end is a video. So you want to think of it that way, of having them create that standard operating procedure, because they're the ones doing it. They're not just watching you do it. They're actually going to step by step follow what was in the video, take screenshots of it, walk themselves through it, and then write it actually down. They can even create a flow chart or a graphic of how they were able to do it, because again, this is just different ways that you're actually teaching them how to do it, and then giving them the confidence to do it because they're creating this document. Next thing is, this is something probably that'll naturally happen as they're creating that SOP, is having them actually start doing it step by step, is actually having them, if the task, for example, is creating your social media posts, have them, create the topics that they want to create posts about. Then it's having them create the graphics. Then it's having them create the caption. It's breaking down the steps so you can see how they understand the procedure so far. And I know this sounds tedious, this sounds tiring, but the fun thing about this is you only really have to do this part like once or twice and then give them feedback consistently overall, and then they're just confident that they can go running. So that's the part that we are looking forward to, is getting them to the point where they're independent, they know what it is that matches your brand, matches your story, as going to the social media example, and then you don't even have to monitor or watch over their shoulder what it is that they're doing. Next is, once they've done it at least once or twice, is now setting them a cadence or a deadline for the task. Now what I mean by setting a deadline or a cadence is this going to be a daily task, a weekly task, a monthly task? Is it something that you just do on the 15th? Is it just a task that you want them to batch create content, for example, at the beginning of the month that then goes on for the next 3 weeks? So really depends on what the task is. Again, you've set already the importance of it, the why is it actually something that needs to get done, the context of it, and then now how often do they actually do it? Is it just a task that they have to do when a certain trigger happens? So inside of 2XU, we call it recurring task or routine tasks. So recurring tasks are the ones that I have to do, daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly, yearly. They have certain dates or certain times you have to do them. Routine tasks are tasks that have some sort of trigger point. So for example, getting a new client, there is an onboarding process. That's something that doesn't really have a time because you can get clients at any time, but there's a certain number of steps or procedures that they have to do once this trigger is actually activated. Let's say someone filled up a form on your website. These are not the step-by-step process of how to get them into your pipeline, for example, or make sure that you answer them. If someone is messaging you on Instagram or other platforms, what do they do? So this is kind of the importance of actually writing them down, of having a document for them, because anytime that happens, they can just click, go to that standard operating procedure, and they know step by step what to do. Next thing is making sure that they do have all the resources that they need. And this is something that you will happen a lot in the beginning as you're delegating them a task, is you think that you gave them the template for the email that they need to send, but it was actually something that fell through the cracks. Again, it's really easy for us as someone who's been doing the task for a while to forget, like, oh yeah, I have this just automatically saved on my inbox, so you don't even have to load it. But for them, on their inbox, it's actually not a template yet. So it's making sure, again, those small things are clear to them, that they have the resources or access to anything else that they would need to be able to finish the task. Next thing that you can have them do is research best practices. If there are different Facebook groups of virtual assistants specifically for your niche, is to ask, like, hey, this is something that I'm doing. Does anyone have any best practices? Or whenever they're stuck, they have a place that they can ask questions to. It could also them just researching how other virtual assistants do it. There's probably an article out there of how a virtual assistant does their social media posts. There could be an article out there how someone help set up appointments. It's important that you let your virtual assistant find different ways to do the task better and see how other people succeed on it as well. So they feel a little bit less alone, like, oh, I'm the only one doing this. But no, other people are actually also doing this to help grow their business. It also gives them better ideas on how to do this better, or if they do a new task or add something into the whole system or the processes, it's something that'll help your business. Next is then having them for a little bit as they're first doing the task, is giving you progress reports. This could be in a form of a daily report. Instead of 2XU, all of our assistants send in daily reports of how, what they did yesterday, what they're focusing on today, what are their bottlenecks or questions, because this is just a quick and easy way to read through and see this is where they've been without having to do a lot of meetings. So it's just a quick and easy way to read through emails, like, oh, okay, that's it. And having to, again, skip having to do a whole Zoom meeting just about it. And lastly, if it's a new task, just treat them with kindness. Sometimes when it's a totally new thing to them that they've never done before, it might take them a few tries to actually get a grasp of what it is that they're actually doing. So give them time to be able to do it. However, you also need to keep in mind to state a boundary as the employer of, okay, this is just not working. This is probably not your strength. Let's give you another task, because there will be things that your assistant just isn't good at. And we've had a lot of that in 2XU, where we have a super creative person doing a lot of the reporting, which is not their strong suit. So having them focus more on the creative stuff made them more profitable for the client, rather than having them forcing them a little bit on doing the reports. And we found a way basically to just automate that, make that easier for both the assistant and the client, and it all worked out well. So keep in mind that you are also testing out your assistant to see if they can also be a match for you in your business as you're training them in the different parts of the different tasks, the different projects, and the different parts of your business. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what other tasks are you thinking of delegating to your assistant and how do you think you're going to delegate to them. Now, if you guys haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to run our business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Now, hope you guys have an awesome day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!